Okay, guys, Old Bones here again. Welcome to the Bones Brigade. And today we're going to talk about my new build. I call it Bloodletting or Bloodletter, whichever one we'll figure out when it actually gets up. Basically, this is a rend dodge build. I'm starting to become a very big fan of this because I'm seeing higher crits out of it. My toxic build that I put out earlier makes great use of stacking damage, but this one gives you higher crit, and you don't get a stack damage from it. So we'll go ahead and get started into it. Go ahead and start with the tree. So what I did with the tree was it was pretty simple. I went through Sentinel. I'm a huge fan of stacking toughness everywhere I can get it. But what I was looking for was trying to stack toughness and dodge at the same time. There's a really good 20 dodge node here. You get a 5% dodge and toughness here. I wasn't so worried about getting this dodge because I don't really need the force shield stuff, so I didn't really mess with that. A good option in this, if you didn't want to take the 5 additional attack speed, would be the 5 agility, 5 toughness here. The agility is going to give us more attack speed, and the toughness is going to give us more damage. Then the 20 toughness here, 10 material damage, which is good because that goes across all of it. Attack speed's important in this build because you want to be able to stack as many rend strikes as you can. And the big one that excuse me, the big one that makes the build is the Blood Reaper. 30 physical damage converted into rend damage. For those of you who don't know what rend damage is, that's basically a bleed. Works like a weaken. You're slowly bleeding out as you're getting attacked. 10 bleed chance, 10% better chance to cause a bleed, and then 15 rend damage, bringing us up to a total of 45% rend damage. And then over here on the side, I did more attack speed versus doing the agility and toughness. I went for direct attack speed versus through a main stat. And then unfortunately on the other side, like everybody has to do, because the third wheel hasn't come out and we haven't seen what's going to be there yet, I had to go to Soldier and Ferocity and Critical Strike, which is good. Critical Strike is important for this build because we don't get a stack damage like we do with the Poison. We're looking for bigger crits from the bleeds than we are trying to stack poison damage on them for the duration. If you look at this, wait, here. So you get 30% physical damage converted into toxic damage. You get a toxic damage, and then you get a poison stack duration. So that means I can poison you for a certain amount of time for every time I hit you. With this build, you don't get that. You get a bleed, which is a damage multiplier, which gives you a bigger crit, and in turn kills whatever you're attacking faster. And then you get a 15% rend damage boost or stack on for a total of 45% total rend damage, along with your physical damage from this, and boost to your bleed damage as well. All right, back to the Soldier. We went Ferocity. Ferocity is good for attack damage. Agility is good for attack speed. We also get Ferocity crit chance here. 20 critical hit chance. That's one of the things that's really that's really hard with these builds right now because there's so limited on the weapon types that you can use as a rogue. You have basically the Red Mountain, or you have the Edict. Edict is for the poison. Red Mountain is for the bleed. you get a lot of bleed damage and rend damage off of the Red Mountain itself. So when we get to that part, I'll talk more about that. Crit chance is the bigger stack damage that you need right now, so you're hitting harder as many times as you can. More ferocity. 10 max health. Can't go wrong with any kind of health. The bigger the health pool when I go in, the better chance I got to survive in the fight. 10 to all resist. When you're putting your gear on, you're gonna be stacking all resist gear anyway. So 10 more percent convert. All resist converts to toughness. Toughness converts to damage. So 10 attack damage. That's a straight up 10% that we get to apply. And then of course Retaliator, which, like I said, until we get the third wheel and see what's going to be out here, Retaliator is going to be the best option for any build that you put together. And that's a pretty strong option. 3 damage per physical resist percent. So if you're putting in 10% plus stacking all res on your gear, you're going to get a pretty good return at 3% per physical resistance percent. As in for more damage. That pretty much covers the tree. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Again, like I said, this is a viable option. 5 agility, 5 toughness. The 5 agility is going to give me a little bit faster attack speed. The 5 toughness is going to give me a little bit more damage. I opted for straight 5 attack speed because with the gear that I have, stacking agility and all res, I have plenty of agility and toughness. I didn't need any more, so I went for the straight attack speed. So next we'll go to attributes. So with the attributes, I stack toughness, and as you can see, the toughness equates to health and all res scores. So I'm at 57% all res and 1573 for health. The higher the health pool, the better chance. We talked about that a little bit ago when I was talking about the tree. All of my gear, when we get to the gear, you'll see all of my gear that I can right now. I'm still missing the Envoy of War and the Ogran's Hearth. Not for lack of trying, guys. I've been putting a lot of time into the game. Those gloves and those shoulders would be huge for this build. The crits that I'm seeing right now are anywhere between 12 and 1800. So with all that extra agility stack and being able to attack faster, plus the stuff that comes from those 4 items, if you could get all 4, yeah, it would really turn this into a monster. But unfortunately, I haven't been able to get it yet. But with our agility, we get dodge chance, and one of the things we want to do, we want to get in there, we want to have as much dodge as we can so we're not taking any damage. We're getting attack speed from agility. And we're also getting spellcast, but we're not worried about spellcast. We're not doing any spell casting. So we do have a little bit of ferocity. If you look, when I get to the gear portion of this, I have ferocity shoulders on. That's mainly for health generation, critical attack chance, and then again, we're not worried about spell chance because we're not really doing anything with it. So when we look at my overall damage is 1462.9. My overall damage, my average damage, I should say, not overall damage. My average damage is really low simply because I don't have the gloves and the shoulders, which would make it huge. And I'm in a lot of yellow gear, which is not bad, but could be better. There are some legendary pieces out there that would boost a lot of my average damage. Plus, one thing to make sure and do is don't base everything on average damage. Make sure that, and we'll go to the skills here in just a little bit. But make sure you're going to your individual skills that you're using as well, and checking your average damage on each skill, because that to me is more important. What my skills are doing versus my overall, because this is basically what you're doing overall for all of your skills, and not per skill that you're using. My attack speed is 40%. That seems to be pretty good. Crit chance is 23, and my weapon damage is 171. All these seem to work really well. I've tested this up to Vet 3, Floor 3, and it tends to work really well. One of the things that I really like about this build is the resistances. The resistances are really high. So I think that's really good with this build here. Your resource pool is 1,000. When we talk about resource pool, we're talking about this down here for your rage. Resource conservation. Let me go ahead and say that correctly. Resource conservation is at 8. Rage on hit is 4.8. That's what I'm getting in return. My stamina is 4, stamina return, and stamina regeneration. And like I was saying before, I'm really enjoying this build. I'm seeing a lot of decent crits out of it for what it is. Being as limited as we are, and to be putting up the kind of numbers that I'm putting up with this thing, may not seem too impressive, 12 to 1800, when you see guys doing 4,000 and 5,000. It's actually really good because they don't have a lot of gear. They don't have a lot of gear specifically for this type of build. I guess this would be considered like a hybrid build. This guy's more meant to be like a two-hand melee or a tank or something like that, not really a rogue build. But I like the rogue style of play, and I like the mage style of play. I like the cast. The ranger is nice because I can play a lot of off-map with it, but this is really what I enjoy playing. So we'll go ahead and look at the skills. And so when I was talking to you about the skills, and I was saying, hey, these are the things your average damage here for the skill is more important than your overall average damage. Your overall damage is a combination of all of these skills in a percentile to give you an overall score. Where you make your money is looking at your average damage here and building this score up. And then for my bleeding edge, I used increased projectile speed and increased bleed chance. The bleed chance on this works with my rend, and I get a second increase on my bleeds actually working and doing more damage. Mark of Impunity. Mark of Impunity works really good with this build. For as fast as he attacks, if you can get the first guy marked and you're using the one that spreads it, enemies killed under the effect of Mark of Impunity deal damage based on targets around them. This one here, Mark of Impunity spreads to surrounding on death of the target. It spreads through. You can clear a whole group super quick, simply because you can attack so fast and kill the first guy. So it's like having a whole army just by putting a mark out there, if that makes any sense. Because you can attack the whole group just by attacking one person, because it'll spread and it'll blow everything up. It's really awesome. And the skills that I used were Fate of the Unholy and Guilt by Association. Slayer's Fury. This is another one that's a pretty good attack. It could use more damage, especially against M-boss type fights. Basically, what this does is gives you a super fast attack for the duration of your rage, and then you'll start white blocking down here. For those of you who play rage-based tunes, you'll understand what I'm saying. For those of you that don't, for every white block that you get in here, you're converting it over. I believe it's willpower. I'm not 100% sure. If you guys get a chance, drop a comment in there and let me know so I can get that right for the next one. And then you have to convert all that willpower back into rage so that you can use it for your next attack. But it works really good. It's super good for the elites, and it's useful for the end bosses. But it's better to attack straight up and then use it as a finish as you finish the end boss off. Sovereign Shout, huge. This gives me attack speed bonus. Unleash the powerful war cry that busts the attack and cast speed of yourself and everyone around you. The nice thing about this one, in the tree, when you use this, is not only does this buff your attack speed, it applies one dose of weaken. I'm not sure the best way to say that, but it applies a weaken to everyone that it hits. And it's in the skill tree, in the skills here, on your skill modifiers. Improve rage per hit, so I get rage back faster. And then grants a bonus, all res per enemy that it hits. Now here's the one that I was talking about. You get, I'm not using it currently, but enemies hit by the shout gain stacks of weaken. So for every time if you say you're in a long drawn out fight or you got a large group, for every time you do that, you get a stack of weaken on them, which helps you take down the group faster. And one of my favorites for any build, Wings of Ishmir. Summons giant spear, leap down on your enemies, damaging them. And I chose Raging Berserker, grants rage per enemy hit with the shout, and improve rage per hit for the duration of the skill. And grants bonus of all res per enemy hit with the shout. All res converts to toughness. Toughness converts to damage for this build. So this is a huge one. Now there are other options. Enemy hit with shout, get the weaken. You can stack with shout. You can stack with Wings of Ishmir, or you can jump in with a stun that gives you time to attack. And when I do a little bit of the gameplay after this, I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about. And those are all the skills that I use with this build. So we've covered the tree, we've covered the attributes, and we've covered the skills. Now it's time to take a look at the gear. Since we stacked toughness on our attribute, the best thing for us to do was to stack agility on the actual gear. Agility gives me the two. Agility gives me dodge chance and attack speed. Those are the two things that I really need when I'm in a fight, especially if I have to do a straight up fight. I need to be able to dodge incoming attacks, and I need the attack speed to take down the mob that I'm fighting as fast as I can, and to apply more rend to each one of the mobs that I'm attacking. So basically, that's pretty much what I did. I stacked all of the agility that I could, except for where this weapon is concerned here. I used this weapon when I was using dual red mountains. It worked okay, but the attack speed wasn't fast enough. So I went to a Cinqueta that has 10% attack speed score, and then put faster attack speed. This allows me to apply my rend, do enough damage to be able to either make a decision to stay in the fight, roll out, re-engage, or just stay in, fight straight up, and I'll do what I need to do to get on to the next pack. The Saguenarius, these are great. You get a toxin with these, so it's like stacking Ren, toxin, and physical damage all at the same time. The 3 Crowns brooch, 10 movement speed, 25 dodge rate, which is really good because the more dodge, the less chance I'm getting hit. You still end up getting hit. You can't have enough dodge unless you're like 100% dodge, and then you're not doing any damage. But if you're like 50%, you're pretty good shape so that you don't get hit, and you're pretty tanky because you stacked all the toughness in your attributes. What I wish I had here was the was it Ogrand's Hearth? If I had the Ogrand's Hearth and the Envoys of War, this would absolutely be a beast of a build. Preferably a 3-socket legend here. And again, we can stack some ferocity. The reason I say we can stack some ferocity and some agility is because we need that critical attack, and we also need the health generation. So if we do a ferocity here and here for these 3 items, we can do agility pretty much for everything else. Because this puts us at a satisfactory score for health regeneration and attacks and critical attack chance. Now you can play with this build however you want. The big thing is making sure you stack the toughness so you have the health and all res. And I also stacked all res gear with the exception of this one. And the only reason I picked this one is because it was the only legendary that I got. Otherwise, I would have used a what the heck's it called? Give me just a second. I'll show you here. Would have used something more along the lines of this with the 35 health and 41 all res, but this came up as a wisdom, so I'm going to use it for one of my mages. That would be more the preferred versus 35 force shield. Now the all res again converts to toughness. Toughness converts to damage, and if it would have had 9 agility versus 9 wisdom, that would have converted to attack speed, which would have been really great. So that would have been a really nice setup, but we didn't get that lucky. So but yeah, that's how I built this one. O'Malley's Lucky Belt. I love this belt. It doesn't do a whole lot for you. The main stat on this thing is I don't know that I believe in the magic find on the belt. Maybe you guys do, and that's great. The main stat on this belt is a 20 to all attributes. That's a huge boost across every attribute that you have. Yeah, and that pretty much covers everything with the gear. But like I said, guys, I'm doing all these just for fun and for the Wolcen community. I'm having a lot of fun doing it, learning how to theory craft and do all this stuff. If you like what I'm doing, please like, share, and subscribe down below. That'd be really awesome. That helps me out too. And if you'd like to see me playing this live, you can go to I had it up here, but I closed it. I apologize. You can go to www.twitchtv.com/oldbones67 and check me out live. And I'd love to have you. I enjoy running with the people from the Wolcen community. I have a lot of fun doing that too. And looking for like meta builds and how we can best play the game. I'm looking forward to the content that's coming out the middle of May. I'm hoping that they'll actually release some more content, or actually release the third wheel. If they do, then I kind of have to start from scratch again on these builds to see what the third wheel option is, and if we can get away from the Praetorian and Retaliator. I don't know if we're going to be able to do that, or they may open up this third wheel. It may not have a lot in it. You may have to stick with Praetorian, but just have a boost on the outside wheel here to Praetorian, and whatever way you decide to go with your build. But again, guys, if you like the video, please like, share, subscribe. I can't thank you enough for checking out the video. I'm having a lot of fun doing them, and I hope you guys are enjoying watching them. I'll keep cranking out videos as long as you guys keep watching. So you guys have a great day. I had a great day today. It was my 25th wedding anniversary, and I told the wife I'm gonna put out a video, and then we're heading to Outback Steakhouse, and we're gonna go have a bloomin' onion. But I wanted to put out some content for you guys. So have a great day. Hopefully your gaming goes well. If you try out this tune, please leave comments. But like I always ask, please be constructive when you leave your comments. I don't know everything, so if you have a comment that can help me make better builds in the future, please leave it down there. I've used some of the comments that have been left already to update builds. But yeah, have a great day, guys. I'll keep pumping out the videos. Hopefully you guys will enjoy them. We'll talk to you later.